In this video, I'm going to share 6 beliefs that negatively impact your relationship and 6 ways you can begin to reframe them. And when you do reframe these, it'll help you to enjoy your relationship for the positive things within it and help you to look forward to a happier future together. For those who don't know me, I'm Steve Bradshaw, relationship coach and mentor, and I've helped thousands of couples from across the world avoid separation and thrive in their relationships. And if you click the link in and around this video, you'll be able to download my free 4-step guide, which takes you through exactly the same steps I take my clients through and what you need to know to get your relationship back on track. And it's using my proven 4-step method, the Reboot Method. So go and click on that link in and around this video now. Start making positive changes to your relationship. So the beliefs that are really distorting the story you're telling yourself about your relationship, some of the excuses that keep you stuck, convincing you that there's some kind of magic solution. You might be telling yourself that if you had more time together with no stress, that things would be back to the way they were at the beginning. And this is something I used to personally believe. And I always felt it was the case of looking forward to a break from work or thinking about going on that holiday, and that would somehow solve the relationship issues that I had. And it never worked. It worked for a little bit, but we always returned to the same stresses back in every day, and therefore the same patterns of negative behavior. And I get it. It might feel uncomfortable for you working on your relationship. Maybe there's a belief there that you shouldn't have to work on your relationship, that it should always be easy. So let me explain what these 6 beliefs are, how you can see them within your relationship, and how you can begin to reframe the situation that you're in at the moment. So belief number 1 is the belief of expectation. So often you have a narrative running in your own mind about how you expect your partner to behave, what you expect from them, what you expect them to do, and why they should want to do certain things. And these expectations are often your undoing because you don't help your partner understand your deeper feelings behind them. They are probably just doing what they've always done and they're none the wiser. So if you internalize your expectations, then you begin to look for confirmation of them not being met. So it's like living out a self-fulfilling prophecy. So be careful of what you expect from a relationship. You need to communicate these clearly to your partner. And where there is an element of accepting them for the way that they are, you can work with them, work with those behaviors and ask them to adapt certain things, but you can't expect them to change. So relationship belief number 2 is the comfort you get from holding on to the negative emotions. So I worked with a couple recently where they were stuck in a really negative cycle of arguing about the same issues. They were just simple household issues, but they were beginning to dominate and negatively impact their relationship. They just couldn't get past it. And these were arguments that had gone on for years and years. And the argument wasn't really about putting the clothes away. It was about respect, and it was about mental capacity. And when I helped them both feel heard and understood on their different perspectives, it opened up their mind to the positive things that happened every day in their relationship that they hadn't even noticed. And this helped them to then shift that pattern and change the focus. So if you practice experiencing the emotions that you enjoy, instead of continuing to practice the negative emotions, then you can begin to switch that balance from negative to positive. Now, I acknowledge there's additional work around separating out your emotions and behaviors, but the message I always want my clients to realize is that it's always okay to feel the way that you do. That's normal, that's absolutely fine. But what you do have is a choice as to how this feeling makes you behave. So belief number 3 is that you don't need a plan in your relationship. Now, I'd like to ask you, are you discussing your hopes and dreams for the future? Are you mapping out what you want to achieve together? So I'm not suggesting that this is some definite itinerary with military precision, but if you don't plan your relationship, you will continue to plod along, and that's fine until you hit a roadblock. And it's a situation you didn't anticipate. It can send you into a spin. So I talked through a great exercise around intentions in my free 4-step guide. I've included loads of my best advice for couples in that guide, and the intentions exercise to start it off is a really good one. So I recommend checking that out. So that brings me on to belief number 4. The belief is that you're a victim here. And this is the belief that you're ultimately powerless. Now, this is externalizing some of the challenges you're facing in your relationship. And often it's easier to attribute the blame to your partner because they don't do enough, they don't cook enough, do enough for you, they don't think about you enough, they're not attentive enough. You can externalize all these things, or you can blame circumstances. Life is tough. If we had more money, if we had family that lived closer together, all of which could be a valid argument. But when you adopt a victim mindset, it is often an attempt to soothe yourself through a form of reassurance. And I would recommend labeling yourself in the moment if you recognize this character, this victim character showing up, and to say, thanks for looking out for me, but I know I'll feel happier in my relationship if I actually do something about this, rather than telling myself this victim story. Belief number 5 is that your relationship should be exciting. Now, when I work with new couples, I always start with values. Now, this is one of the best ways to stabilize things between you and remind you of the foundations in which your relationship is built on. Now, you will most likely have chosen each other based on some of those core values, some of those personal ones and some that you share. So why is it useful to outline some of those? Well, because your values govern how you feel about situations, the story you're telling yourself about your life, and how you want to show up with certain behaviors on a daily basis. So you can choose the value of excitement if you want to feel more excited in your relationship. And a better understanding of some of these values can help you to stabilize things, remind you of how you want to be showing up every day. And then these act as a guide so you can live out that best version of yourself. So this is about a long-term bond between you and your partner, living out your shared values for a lifetime, not just the excitement of those early relationship stages when everything was brand new. And finally, belief number 6 is believing what your inner critic tells you. Now, I encourage you to really think about how you're speaking to yourself and train your internal voice to speak more positively, because that inner critic can really start to dominate things and will always be motivated by wanting to keep you safe. However, it can end up really sabotaging your relationships. So you might be telling yourself the story that you're not good enough, that you should be achieving more, and that other couples just seem to have a much better relationship than yours. And if you break this down, there are really 3 sections to it. How are you judging yourself? How are you judging other people around you? And how are you judging the circumstances that you're in, particularly those in your relationship? You don't know exactly what goes on in other people's relationships. So it's just not healthy to make those comparisons. So there are just too many moving parts to ever come up with a reasonable comparison anyway. So the only person you can really compare yourself to is the you of yesterday. And if you can take responsibility for that and focus on the small changes you want to make to improve, then you'll be heading in the right direction. And if you notice that inner critic popping up with those negative comments, again, just say to yourself, thanks for looking out for me. I know you want to protect me, but I'm doing all right. I'm working on things as best I can. So often, of course, there is an element of fear about being vulnerable enough to try and reframe these beliefs. What if you put all this work in and it doesn't work out? It don't improve things between you, then you'll be stuck with a decision to make. You'll actually have to make a decision on your future, where it can feel more comfortable just to plod along and to use that comfort and these beliefs to form as an excuse and a comfort blanket for you. But if you can focus on just one of these beliefs each day for the next 6 days, then I think you'll be making a really great start in beginning to reframe these. It's going to need some energy and focus to make it happen, but I believe we're all capable of change, and we can all change these stories that we're telling ourselves over time. So if you're interested in finding out more about how I can help you avoid separation and thrive in your relationship, head over to rebootingrelationships.com and explore the work together options, or drop me an inquiry via the site and we'll see if we're a good fit to work together. That's all for now. Subscribe below and I'll see you in the next video.